The Theban gods had survived another day of war. That night they stood armed around the enemy camp, spears beside them, torches still burning. Then one head began to fall, then another. Across the darkness, 30 enemy warriors moved toward them. No trumpet sounded, no warning was shouted. By dawn, men strong enough to fight would be lying dead, beside weapons they never had the chance to use. But their defeat had not begun with those warriors. Far beyond the battlefield, Iris had entered a cavern where sound disappeared. Movement slowed, and even the wind seemed too tired to continue. At its threshold stood a drowsy spirit. Her name was Aergia, and the ancient world called her Sloth. Aergia never ruled a kingdom. No temple was built in her honor. And in the ancient story, she appears for only a moment, standing at the entrance to the House of Sleep. Yet the figures around her reveal why she mattered. Quiet guarded the doorway. Ease waited inside. Forgetfulness stood close by. Because sloth rarely enters our lives looking dangerous. It sounds reasonable. You're tired. You have already done enough. You can begin tomorrow. Aergia does not ask you to abandon your future. She only asks you to leave it untouched for one more day. In this story, an army would pay for that silence with blood. But its warning was never meant only for soldiers. Because most lives are not destroyed in a single moment. They are slowly left unattended. And to understand how that happens, we must return to the war outside the walls of Thebes. The war outside Thebes had begun with two brothers. Eteocles and Polynices, sons of Oedipus, had agreed to take turns ruling the city. Eteocles ruled first, and when his time ended, he refused to leave the throne. Polynices returned with an army from Argos and 7 commanders determined to take the city by force. But the war had not gone as planned. 4 of those commanders were already dead. The Argive army was exhausted, and the walls of Thebes still stood. That night, the Thebans surrounded the enemy camp with armed guards. They had watched the Argives lose men, strength, and hope. For the first time, victory seemed close. Perhaps that was why they did not recognize the danger. They were prepared for another attack. They were prepared for steel, fire, and blood. But high above the battlefield, the goddess Juno was watching, and she had found a way to defeat them without breaking a single wall. Far away in Argos, women gathered before Juno's altar. Their husbands, sons, and brothers had marched to Thebes, expecting victory. Now many of them would never return. The women covered the sacred statue, raised their hands, and begged the goddess not to abandon what remained of their army. Juno heard them. She knew the fates were already turning against the Argives. She could not end the war, but she could change one night. From the heavens, Juno looked down and saw the Theban guards surrounding the Greek camp. Alert, armed, certain that no one could pass them. A direct attack would fail. So Juno chose something quieter. She would not take away their weapons. She would not weaken their walls. She would take away the one thing that made those defenses useful: their attention. Juno called for Iris, her rainbow-winged messenger, and gave her a simple command. Find the god of sleep and ask him to make the Thebans close their eyes before death arrived. Iris left the heavens along the curve of her rainbow. She flew beyond the lands of western night toward a place untouched by morning. As she traveled, the colors around her began to fade. First, the stars disappeared. Then the wind became still, and finally, every sound was gone. Before her stood a motionless forest. No bird sang between its branches. No animal moved beneath the trees. Even the leaves seemed unwilling to fall. At the center of the forest, a cavern opened into the side of a dark mountain. A stream passed over stones nearby, yet made no sound. Black sheep lay sleeping on the ground. Young plants bent toward the earth, as if they had grown too tired to reach for the light. This was not ordinary peace. Nothing here struggled. Nothing hurried. Nothing seemed to remember it had somewhere else to be. As Iris approached the cavern, its heavy air pressed against her eyes. Even a goddess could feel the desire to stop, to wait, to forget why she had come. But Iris continued forward, and at the entrance she discovered that sleep did not live alone. Several silent figures were waiting at his door. The first figure Iris saw was quiet. She stood beneath the shadow of the entrance, keeping every voice outside. Beside her waited Forgetfulness. She did not erase memories all at once. She only allowed them to fade, slowly enough that no one noticed what had been lost. Then Iris saw the spirit with the heavy eyes, Aergia, sloth. She did not look cruel. She carried no weapon. She issued no command. She simply stood at the threshold, wearing the expression of someone who had stopped expecting anything to change. Deeper inside sat ease and silence, their wings folded, making no attempt to leave. None of them tried to stop Iris. They did not need to. That was the power of this place. It offered no threat. It created no fear. It only made continuing feel unnecessary. Perhaps that is why sloth was placed beside quiet, ease, and forgetfulness. Because we rarely abandon what matters in one clear decision. First, we stop moving. Then the goal becomes quiet. And eventually, we forget why it mattered at all. For a moment, Iris felt that same stillness pulling at her. But she remembered the command she had been given. So she passed Aergia, entered the deepest chamber, and found Somnus, the god of sleep, resting on his dark couch. Iris stood before Somnus and delivered Juno's command. The god of sleep slowly raised his head. He did not question the reason. He simply allowed his power to leave the cavern and spread across the night. It reached the battlefield without sound. One Theban guard blinked. Another leaned against his spear. A torch slipped from a hand and died in the dirt. Soon the entire line of sentries was asleep. Inside the Argive camp, the seer Theodamus understood that something had changed. He selected 30 warriors and led them into the darkness. They crossed the space the Thebans had guarded only moments before. No alarm was raised. No soldier reached for his weapon. And the killing began. Aergia never left the entrance of the cavern. She never entered the battlefield. She did not need to. By morning, strong men lay dead beside sharp weapons and unbroken shields. They had not lost their ability to fight. They had simply been absent when their strength was needed. The battlefield is gone, but Aergia's cave is not as distant as it seems. It appears whenever one difficult beginning becomes tomorrow's problem. A page remains unwritten. A conversation remains avoided. A promise to ourselves is delayed again. Nothing collapses immediately. That is what makes it easy. Rest is not the enemy. Rest returns our strength. Aergia begins when rest loses its ending. When comfort no longer prepares us to return, but quietly gives us another reason not to. And yet, Iris revealed something important. She did not fight Aergia. She did not wait for the heaviness to disappear. She remembered why she had entered the cave, and took the next step while the desire to stop was still there. Perhaps a life does not change when we finally feel ready. Perhaps it changes in the smaller moment before that, when one unfinished thing is remembered and touched again. The Theban soldiers were defeated in a single night. Most of us will never hear enemy swords outside our door. Our danger is quieter. Aergia does not demand that we surrender our future forever. She only asks for one more day. Perhaps that is how years disappear. Not because we choose to waste them, but because we keep believing our real life has not begun yet. Maybe the opposite of sloth is not endless work. Maybe it is simply being awake when life asks something of us. So, what part of your life is still waiting for you to wake up? Thank you for watching this meaningful story. To support the channel, please follow, hit the subscribe button, and share your thoughts with us in the comments.